everybody else joining in. I really love when the chat, sort of focuses on a game we're about to be playing. And today we will be playing the Operational Art of War 4. So we were actually just talking about Cuba, and I'd love to do in the future actually one of the missions that Dave is talking about. I believe it's a user-made mission, a sort of potential post-Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba. It's a tough one, guys. It's a tough one. If you're new to the Operational Art of War, I would not recommend playing that mission. It's not easy in the slightest. Today, what we're probably going to do, and of course, I always want your guys' feedback, is I think we're going to play as the Viet Minh against the French. Now, I want to be very, very clear here. There is an absolute distinction between the Viet Minh and the Viet Cong. Will do. Thanks, Lanzer. Hold on one second. Just want to make sure here. Hold on one second. We're definitely streaming this. Guys, we're also streaming this on the YouTube for Matrix, not for Slytherin. So that's going to be a new thing where essentially now if we stream a game for Matrix, we'll be streaming that on the YouTube channel. And if we stream on Slytherin, we'll be streaming that on the Slytherin YouTube channel as well. But we can't stream on both because it just doesn't really make sense. It's two different audiences, and that's kind of the way it was. It is, Condra, it is. I refuse to surrender. I love Internet Explorer. I know I'm a heretic. I'm an absolute heretic. I do have Google Chrome, and I do use Google Chrome a lot, but I like Internet Explorer. I mean, for me, I don't usually have any issues with it. Hey, Redster, good to see you, man. Blasphemer, says Kendra. I'm not surprised. Back when I was in the office, everybody used to tell me, oh my goodness, how could you use that? It's Internet Explorer. But, yeah, I've just always been a fan. I know it's not the best by any means. Actually, the one sort of search engine that I've always had issues with is Firefox, and I know a lot of people here use Firefox. I don't know why. It just, for some reason, I've always had sort of issues with it. It's always caused me some problems. Let's take a look here at Warrior Donut. Very cool, Warrior Donut. Nice. Global Conflict. Nice, man. Well done. Actually, that's one that I haven't played yet. I've played the other Strategic Command games, World War I and World War II, but I don't believe I played Global Conflict. I may need to get my hands on that. So far, Muso's not here yet, so I am going to be probably jumping in and out here to moderate the stream a little bit, make sure you guys don't go totally crazy, but I'm sure he will appear very, very soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look here at the maps. Now, we are 4 minutes pre-stream, but I think it's an okay time to take a look at the possibilities. So what I think I would like to try is I'd like to try the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, and I want to play as the Viet Minh. So what I was saying before is there is a big distinction between the Viet Minh and the Viet Cong. Primarily politically, I think the Viet Minh's real goal was essentially independence for Vietnam in general. So many of there's my alarm. Many of the fighters for the Viet Minh may very well have become eventually, ARVN soldiers. When I'm talking about ARVN, that's essentially the army of South Vietnam. But the Viet Cong were much more sort of a Marxist tint, led by, of course, Ho Chi Minh, and definitely more communist and more left-wing in their leanings than the Viet Minh. The Viet Minh, really, their main goal was total independence, which you could argue was the same for the Viet Cong. So let's jump right in. We are going to be playing as the Viet Minh today against the French army. This should be interesting. So let's take a look. Okay, here we go. So once again, we get the note here, and this note is really cool. I could always click show this warning in the future. I could click that off. The reason I don't is I want you guys to see that, the great thing about the Operational Art of War, amongst many others, is they don't just, discard old scenarios if they're fun. They continue to use them because they're really, really great. And so we are, of course, attacking Dien Bien Phu here. To try and defeat the French, the colonial French, the colonial oppressors. Remember, we're playing as the Viet Minh. We've got to use the correct terminology. And one thing I know about this particular base All of these things that you see, Gabriel, Amélie, Dominique, Béatrice, François, these were all essentially, posts where the French would be defending against the main base, which would be Claudine, right in the center there. And during the actual battle, and you can actually see it represented very well here, for those of you that know NATO counters, if you see these circles with a dot in the middle, that signifies artillery. And one thing that the Viet Cong were able to do the Viet Minh were able to do very, very well in this battle is keep the French continuously under fire. And what that meant was that the French would have to bring in essentially airdrops to help their men. And a lot of those airdrops would, actually fall into Viet Minh hands. Those that didn't fall into Viet Minh hands and landed over here somewhere in the safe zone, you'd be under fire from Viet Minh snipers. So we're going to go straight for Anne-Marie with the 88th Regiment right here. I'm going to see, I think it's probably defended, so you know what? I'm going to approach this very carefully. I want to go ahead and just grab, sure enough, we got hit by an airstrike. What did I tell you? And we've got some French parachute infantry, which once again, as I mentioned before, it was very hard to get into Dien Bien Phu without anything besides airdrops. So we're going to keep the artillery up here on the mountains, just like the Viet Minh did during the actual battle, and we're mainly going to be moving in with our infantry. And I want to completely overwhelm the French forces here. So as you can see, I'm going to just basically totally surround them. I think that's really the key to victory here. We're going to go ahead and grab these guys too. We'll keep our generals close by as well, but I want to take Gabriel. And eventually, we'll take some other areas, of course. We've got to keep in mind that the one thing working against us is that the French do have a pretty decent air force. And we want to try and get to that air force location as soon as possible. Of course, that air force is here in Claudine. Okay? So Claudine is going to be tough to get to, but we'll get there eventually. Go ahead and move these guys into formation. And let me know, guys, if you see everything on the map. If you guys are able to see, of course, the units, etc. If you guys want me to turn up the voice, just let me know in the comments down below. Hey, there's Musso. What's up, man? And Musso, just to make sure, mate, we went ahead and we can take a look here at the restream where we've essentially got and I was mentioning to everybody before that if we're going to be playing a Slytherin game, we will be streaming on the Slytherin channel as well, YouTube. If we're playing a Matrix game, we'll be streaming on the Matrix channel. So in this case, we're not streaming this on Slytherin Games. We're streaming it on Matrix YouTube. And for those of you guys watching us on the Matrix YouTube channel, welcome, guys. Good to see you. We've got 27 here on Twitch. Hey, very cool, and I'm very glad to see you guys. Let's take a look. Have some work to do. Might have to leave. No worries, mate. No worries. I should, in the future, if you want to tell me a bit earlier, we can get my buddy Adiman, who's also a moderator here for the Slytherin channel, and he's always willing to take your place and does a very good job. Not as good a job as you, because you are definitely the admin master here. Let's go ahead. Okay, turn the sound up, says Lancer. Let's go ahead and move that up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, if you have anything, I can always watch over the stream. No reason, no issues. No, Warrior Donut. So that's a very good question. No, not at all. Matrix and Slytherin work together in conjunction with one another, and they are one company. But I think it's safe to say that Matrix is very, very, very in-depth strategy games, much like the Operational Art of War 4 here. Where Slytherin is, still some very complex strategy games, but a little more open to the general public, a little more open maybe to somebody just joining, the strategy community. That being said, as many of you know, Slytherin Matrix still does an excellent job, whether you're doing Slytherin or a Matrix game, at basically promoting that tactical gameplay. So we're going to jump right back in here to the map. So for those of you just arriving, we are playing as the Viet Minh here in the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. Last time we played as the French, and we got utterly crushed, and with reason. This is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult mission in the game. Number one, you only have, I think, 9 turns, if I'm not mistaken, to actually complete the mission. And if you take a look here, and this is, I mentioned it before, so for those of you that are hearing it again, I do apologize. If you look up here in the mountains, these NATO counters with a square and a dot in the center represent artillery divisions, okay? And that's exactly what the Viet Minh did, is as they were attacking the French post here, they were able to provide a lot of artillery support, and that definitely messed with the French. I do want to move my HQ a bit closer here, and I think I want to take our first attack on Beatrice. So we're going straight for Beatrice, and let's see what we can do. So we're going to plan our attack here, sending in some guys. Chances are impossible to predict. And if you guys are looking over here, he can't attack. If you guys are looking up here on the support and you see that X through the support, this is a mistake that a lot of new players make when playing the Operational Art of War 4. This does not mean that you can't use this support. It just means that you're going to only be getting half of that support when the X is through it. So we're going to be getting 50% of that support, so I'm definitely still taking it. So there we go. We are going to go ahead, our first attack against Beatrice. And, you know, some of the, there's not exactly radio gossip, but I've actually read some graphic novels about the battle itself. And believe me, the radio gossip got pretty intense because you've got all these locations, Gabrielle, Beatrice, Améry, Francois, and, you know, every few hours you get a call in, hey, you know, officer, I need help. We're being overrun here at Gabrielle. Okay, we're on our way, and then all of a sudden the radio would just go dead, and that's because the Viet Minh overran the area. Now, in this area, if we look at the 1825, the French are actually very, 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 very well dug in here. So I think this might not work out so well for us on Beatrice, but we can always come back. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm selecting all of my soldiers here, and I'm also going to get some support here, some artillery support. We could pull in this artillery support as well. In fact, we should have done that. Hold on a second. Plan an attack. Okay, we can just take one for this turn. Fair enough. The chances of winning are very poor, but quite frankly, if we're able to take out even just a few of these locations, you know, we're doing a major job. You can see the victory points are all on the French defensive lines. Let's send these boys into Ban Hong Kong village, and we will be attacking Nguyen very soon. We can already see some French paratroopers here, which I must say, despite this being a French defeat, the French put up an incredible fight considering the odds they were up against. And remember, the only support that these guys were getting was, you know, in terms of air support, airdrops, things of that nature. So I think we've attacked both locations that we want to attack. I don't think I want to attack Nguyen yet. Let's go ahead, let's end the turn, and let's see what happens. And of course, you can always zoom in or out here, get a more precise view of the battlefield, as it were. In fact, you can really zoom out if you want. I like to keep things pretty much, you know, right up close and personal. That's just my style. All right, let's see what happens, and let's see if our attacks work. I hear some aircraft. The French may be defending here with some aircraft units. And the French absolutely do have air superiority, but it's hard to have air superiority when you've got artillery firing left and right. Okay, so as you can see, and this is understandable, we lost 9%, 11%. The French only lost 3% or 2%. It actually makes me think of something that Ho Chi Minh said to the Americans, which was, sure, and I'm paraphrasing here, you might kill 10 of our men for every one of your men we kill, but we'll still win in the end. And that's because this is their country. They're not going to give up. So it's totally understandable that with this attack, we're not doing too well, but we took out some mortars. Hey, that's absolutely a start. And it's just going to make me be even more aggressive with these attacks. The real goal is to try and take one of these defensive points, any of them really. As soon as we start taking these defensive points, the enemy is in some serious trouble. Now, it looks like at Gabrielle, they actually managed to attack. They're doing a little counterattack there, which is very surprising. And you can see here the French only lost 1%. So we got to be careful, my friends. Okay, here we go. We have reinforcements. Oh, yes, I love it. Okay, Viet Minh launched human wave assault at Dien Bien Phu. The French force is cut off at Dien Bien Phu, and French reinforcements parachute into Dien Bien Phu. So once again, the only way to get into Dien Bien Phu in terms of supplies or reinforcements is from the air. And that is not an easy situation. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to surround Beatrice. I don't recall which was the first to fall. We'll find that out pretty soon. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit Beatrice with everything I've got here. And you can see I've got a lot. I've got a lot of artillery support. I've got a lot of men. I'm just going to charge in with everything and hopefully take this location. As soon as the French realized that they were starting to lose major locations like Beatrice, you know, essentially the battle was at that point almost totally lost. So we're hitting Beatrice here. Dominique is going to be another place we want to hit. We might want to move these artillery pieces a bit closer, but really, as long as we're up here on this hilly terrain, trying to get a view of the hilly terrain right there, you know, we're in a decent position. So I'm actually going to move some of this already a little bit closer. I want to hit Gabrielle again, and I want to hit it with the full might of the Viet Minh. Let's go ahead. Boom, boom, boom. Success is very poor. And our cooperation is not very good. And that I don't understand, because generally cooperation in this game has to do with, you know, for instance, French forces working with American forces, etc. It does surprise me that the cooperation between the Viet Minh is a little affected. It's still pretty good, 83, but, you know, 99 is what you're always looking for. So it's a little confusing, but I guess it makes sense. Once again, the chance of winning is very poor, but we're not going to be concerned by that. And look at these beautiful, beautiful reinforcements we got. Now, we could go straight for Claudine. This is the main French defensive area, but part of me is thinking that we'd actually be better off going north to Anne-Marie to help our boys. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ignore Claudine for now. I'm going to move north to Anne-Marie. And we are going to assist in the attack here. I think that's just the best thing to do. We can eventually get to Claudine. We don't have to focus on it right now. So here we go. And Saint-Marie as well. I think we can wait a bit for Saint-Marie. Let's wait a bit. We'll worry about that later. Let's take a look here. Hilly terrain is making the start of Alexander tournament interesting. Those phalanx units don't like the rough ground, says Pixel. Ha ha ha. Yes, thank you so much, Muso. Yes, that's absolutely right. As Muso stated, so we do have a YouTube channel for Slytherin and a YouTube channel for Matrix. This is considered a Matrix game, and definitely I'm not going to go and say a tough game, you know, just a game you've got to take some time to learn, for sure. We've also got this unit right here. And I'm going to move him here, and I think we're going to go straight for Wien. So let's go. And let's see what we can do here, guys. Plan an attack. Boom, boom, boom. Don't forget, we completely outnumber the enemy, so I'm actually not too concerned about casualties on our side. We're always going to be able to essentially refit our men for the most part. Let me take a look. Where do I want to send the 98th Regiment? I think I want to send them to Beatrice. In fact, we could probably have them assist. Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. The French are in serious trouble. Have them assist with this attack on Beatrice. So let's make sure we've got all these guys selected. Let's add this guy. Let's add this guy. Let's add this guy. And I think everybody else is ready to go. Okay, guys. Let's see what happens. Okay, come on, fingers crossed. Hey, not bad. Let's take a look here. So, for instance, over here, on 11-13, we actually did an okay attack. Now, for those of you that are new to the Operational Art of War 4 series, you can see here it gives you extremely specific information on everything that happens during the battle. So if we look at our guys, you can see we lost a lot of men. Some irregular squads. These are essentially militia squads, what we would know today as sort of Viet Cong squads, light rifle squads, etc. It was not an easy attack, and the French lost some rifle AT squads, some SMG AT squads, and despite that not seeming like a lot, believe me, it is. Because the fact is, we can keep getting reinforcements, we can keep getting replacements. The French do not have that option. Everything they get is from the air, and as you guys can probably imagine, not all of that is going to fall into French hands. Being said, we still have not taken a location, so there's still a lot of work to do. Oh boy. So this is a French army attack, and actually I must give it to the French. Hey, look, if we're losing a battle, we've got to show that as well. So I want to take a look here at what the French managed to defeat here with their attack. They did manage to do quite a number of damage to our men. And initially the French certainly thought that they could win the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. but they just had a terrible starting location. Here's a pro tip, kids, for all of you future warlords. Do not start an army base surrounded by mountains. It's a terrible idea. You always want the high ground. Many generals have mentioned that the high ground is extremely important, and that's one of the biggest reasons that the Viet Minh won this battle, because they had the high ground, they had the artillery. Even with the French air support, it couldn't stop this massive wave of Viet Minh soldiers. And keep in mind, they were not afraid to die. You know, their concern was protecting their country against any invader. The Vietnamese people have been fighting off invaders for hundreds of years, and this was just another addition to that group. So once again, I'm also going to attack over here. I want to make sure we don't have any other infantry units there. I don't think we do. It's all arty. And we are going to attack Beatrice again. Boom, boom, boom. Now, once these areas started to crumble, the high command, became very concerned, because once they saw that the VC or the Viet Minh were able to break through, they realized, oh boy, this ain't so good. And actually, I'm going to bring these guys, a group move, to assist in taking Gabriel. Let's take these guys. 1, 2, 3. And I think I kind of understand now the lack of cooperation. It probably has to do with sort of lack of communication support. Keep in mind that the Viet Minh did not have the communication support that the French had. And here it looks like the probability of success is good for us to overrun Gabriel. God only knows what happens to the troops that get captured here or not in areas like Gabriel. So I'm going to send this unit to Beatrice. Once again, we're trying to cut these guys down little by little, and oh boy, they had some guys right there, so I actually had to take a little detour. But so far, things are looking okay at Beatrice. We also have some more artillery guys here. I think I want to move them once again up here to Gabriel. Remember, I don't want to go straight for Claudine. That's the main French defensive line. So if we need to, sort of cut some corners, we'll do it. It's just the way it's going to be. If we take Gabriel, maybe we can take Almerie next, but only time will tell. Let's see what happens. Come on, give us Beatrice, or Gabriel, excuse me. Yes, guys, we have taken Gabriel. There we go. That is a major, major victory for us. It wasn't easy, but look at the enemy loss. We're finally showing the French that they can't win every battle. Initially their casualties were always lower than ours, but look at that. We've essentially completely wiped out the French defending this area. And look at that, 120 millimeter mortar. Hey, I'd love to use that thing. Beautiful. Even over here, we lost 12%, but we managed to do 6% of the damage to the enemy. And remember that the enemy is not able to reinforce their squads as easily as we are. It's just not like that. Now it's going to be the French army turn. Let's see what these guys are up to. At this point, the French commander is getting that terrifying message that Gabriel has been taken. He might not even believe his ears, and next Anne-Marie and Dominique are on the scale. All right, weak attack by the French, not too bad. And it's back to our turn, and once again, we have reinforcements. That's going to happen nonstop. And right now, our victory level is minus 33 of 40. It's an overwhelming defeat. We've got to keep taking these areas. Okay, the news summary. French reinforcements parachute into Dien Bien Phu. Gabriel is taken by the Viet Minh, and the French fail at Beatrice. Oh, I love that, guys. We also took Gabriel over here, and we took Beatrice. So we've now taken 2 of the fire bases. I believe it's Anne-Marie who jette, Dominique, François, Ilian, and then Claudine is the major French defensive zone. We've also got some French defensive zones over here in Huyen, and we're about to go ahead and smash them too. So I'm going to bring these artillery pieces that are a bit far away from the battlefield. I want to bring them closer so they can provide that much needed support. But keep in mind, guys, that if you're going to move an artillery piece during a battle, you're probably going to lose some of the ability from that arty piece to inflict damage because it's moved. It's not as easy. So chances of attack or chances of victory are poor, even though the French don't have a lot here. And and we are going to bring in some artillery there. Hey, chance of success is fair. I like that very much. Let's take a look up here. And look at that, some more reinforcements. I could send them right into Claudine, but I know better. They're going to Amery. We must take Amery next. It's that simple. We can get to Claudine eventually, and we will, but right now we want to take everything surrounding Claudine so that we have no issues at all with the enemy. I'm also going to go ahead and hit this lone French group. I don't want to commit too many forces to it because I think we can pretty much take it out just with a few attacks, but I will go ahead and give him one full support of Artie. The chance of success is still very poor, but as many of us have noted, that doesn't always mean that you're going to lose. Sometimes you can still win with a major amount of losses, and considering that the Viet Minh were using human wave attacks during this battle, you know, I'm not too concerned. Unfortunately, sacrifices must be made for victory. So I'm going to give them all the support they need for this attack here against Amery. And once again, chance of success is very poor. That's not going to scare us away. So now that Gabriel is under our control, I'm actually going to start moving units here and start taking out these straggler units. So I think we should go here for this guy. Let's go for it. Oh boy. The enemy is definitely going to put up a fight, and actually already our chances of success are excellent. I'm still sending in all our men because I want an overwhelming victory here. I want to wipe the French out totally from this eastern area, and that's going to make it a lot easier for our boys to move in for the final victory. In fact, we're going to already start moving our guys to Dominique. We've got some more reinforcements, as mentioned, and look at that, reinforcements in the north that we can absolutely bring to the battlefield as well. So let's group move these guys. I'm going to try to hit this guy as well. So several attacks. Look at that. Now, some of these guys are already embroiled in other attacks. We're still going to select them for this one. And the chance of success is excellent. I'm not even going to bring in artillery. We don't even need it, to be absolutely honest with you. Let's go down. Now, once again, I want to be very clear. If you're playing as the French on this scenario, best of luck. It's really hard. Okay, there we go. The Pavie Trail. And we'll go ahead and smash through here. Why not? 1, 2, 3. Success is poor, but at least not very poor. I'll take it. Now let's jump into the chat here. Yes, please do vote for the user's choice stream, guys. Ooh, cool. Zach Blood did a dev diary. Oh, or posted a dev diary for about BSG. Yeah, man, absolutely. See what you guys heard too. Hey Piddles, good to see you, buddy. Hello SGBU, good to see you. 52 viewers, guys. Oh, I'm very proud. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna go ahead and resolve these attacks. I want to actually take a look at our southern position. I think WM is gonna crack quickly, but you know, it might take a while. The soldiers at WM and Isabel actually put up a very, very good fight, and that's going to work against us. So let's see what happens. Wait a minute. We've still got some troops we could bring in. Remember, overwhelming force on this battle is going to count for a whole lot. All right, guys, let's see what happens. I am pretty sure we are going to be overrunning even more positions during this turn. Can we take Wien? I don't think so, but if we can, hey, I'll be a happy man. Okay, no rounds left. Let's see what happens. Aha, hey, not so bad. So over here, pretty typical losses, but at the same time, we're starting to match enemy losses, which, as you guys know, the French definitely have better technology. Not as good as the Americans did when they were in Vietnam, but that didn't really make a difference, did it? Over here, we managed an amazing attack, and I believe that's going to be over there in the area of Gabriel, if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a look and see what the enemy lost. Oh man, we smashed them. We smashed them. Now keep in mind, the French, you know, they had a modern army. And in many cases, the Viet Minh did as well. Of course, it was more of a guerrilla army. But you can see here, this much destruction for a modern force. If this appears in French newspapers the next day, a lot of people are going to lose support for the war. You can see here the amount of devastation we've caused is pretty significant. We didn't kill any of the enemy Bearcats, but then again, we don't have any AA guns as far as I can tell. But in places like here, for instance, the French actually put up a very good fight. And we can see that with our massive human wave attack, we definitely took some serious losses. Not everybody was destroyed, but many people were disabled, and it's going to take about a turn or two for them to get back to the area they want to be at. But hey, guys, not so bad. Okay, guys, it's the French army turn. Well, let's see what happens. Now, they've been pretty successful with their counterattacks, so I'm a little afraid. They do have that air support as well. The Air Force right now is probably their best bet. And look, guys, they're pushing us back at Gabriel. Oh, my goodness. So French army bombardment, it actually didn't do any damage to either of us. And the weak attacks here, I'm surprised my men fell back. It could be because we don't have our guys on aggressive attack. So the best way to determine whether your guys are or are not on aggressive attack is if you just look at the units here. Hold on, I love these news reports. Gabriel is taken by the Viet Minh, the French fail at Beatrice, and rumors of desertion at Dien Bien Phu. Now, I wonder, if you're in the middle of the Vietnamese jungle, where are you supposed to desert to? That's my real question. But for sure, the French are losing a lot of faith here. Let's take a look. So, for instance, I was mentioning to you before, how do you know if your units are attacking with ferocity? If you click on a unit or just look at it on the map, you'll see next to the NATO counter a little dot. Now, dot means a weak attack, which means, we'll fire a few shots off, we'll scout the area. If we start getting some return fire and taking casualties, we get out of there immediately. 2 is medium, which means that you stay in the fight for as long as possible, but, you don't lose an overwhelming amount of men, and then you pull back. And then 3 is, of course, you are just basically doing a human wave attack. So if we go over here, we're going to go order ignore losses for the entire group. So we're going to be ultra aggressive here, especially since we're moving towards Dominique. And I'm going to do the same with these guys. We are just going to go crazy at this point. Just basically some Soviet human wave attacks. Really no other way to put that. Also want to move these HQs a bit closer. Just a little bit. Should have moved the artillery with them. And actually, I see an open artillery spot here for the enemy. I'm going to hit that, even though we don't have many men. Nope, we can't. We're going to have to wait for the French turn. Should we attack at Gabriel? I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to single unit one guy here. Ooh, they've got some paratroopers there defending them. And we are just going to go ahead and smash through the lines here at Gabriel. Excuse me, not Gabriel. I can't read it. It's the second summary. So that's the second defensive front line that the French have set up. And yeah, let's get this HQ a bit closer. All right, here we go. The attack on Almery. Oh, this is going to be a big one. Come on, boys. Oh, my goodness, look at that. We're at excellent. And I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep going. I'm sending everybody in here. We didn't actually select the aggressive attack for most of these guys, but for some of them, I might go ahead and select aggressive attack. Then again, you know what? We're going to win anyway. Why risk the lives of more of our men? Let's see how things are going over here. They seem to be going okay. I am amazed that the enemy has held at Wiem. I don't think that's going to continue for very long. Okay, probability of success is good. Ooh, let's see what occurs. Okay. Wow, look at this, guys. We are truly overrunning these guys now. I mean, they're in trouble. There's no doubt about it. We just wiped out that entire force at Saint-Marie. There's nothing there. They have some Bearcats, but these guys are part of their Air Force. And those Bearcat pilots sure as hell are not going to land, get out of their planes, and start putting up resistance. So I think it's safe to say that in the northwest corner here of Dien Bien Phu, we have pretty much taken over. We could keep on, of course, taking out these paratrooper regiments, but really they provide us with no victory point value. Anne-Marie is under our control, for instance. Beatrice is under our control. Gabrielle is under our control. This battle is actually, it's actually occurring exactly the same way the battle occurred at Dien Bien Phu. So I'm going to go ahead. We've got to wipe out these paratroopers, and then we move to the main point of defense of the French. I'm even going to send in some artillery. Why not? Let's get rid of these guys. And at Almery, I'm going to do the same. Come on, boys. Excellent. I'm not going to send in everybody. I think this is sufficient. And we could start sending some troops to Francois, but I will play this very conservatively. So I'm just going to take a point at a time. I'm not going to get greedy. But we do have to get to Claudine and Francois. Claudine is, of course, the final French location. And if you take a look at the terrain here, the creators did a really great job at showing us the terrain here in the very center. Remember, all these other areas were basically fire posts, but Claudine was the main French area. And surprisingly enough, the victory points here are huge. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. Wow, we didn't take Guienne yet. I thought we had it for sure. Okay, hey. If they don't want to give up immediately, I'm actually very impressed with their defense. That doesn't mean I'm going to just allow them to live, but, we'll go ahead and form another attack here. Of course, we want to move around the map, make sure we're not getting any more reinforcements. We do have some arty reinforcements there, but no reinforcements from the north as far as I can see. So I think I want to move those arty reinforcements a little bit closer. And again, I must remind you that, the high ground that the VC had, the Viet Minh had during this battle greatly helped them get a victory. Let's take a look at the chat once again. I am going to have to take a look at the chat every now and again. Haha, thank you, Kandra. Oh yes, and feel free. I mean, people speaking here about AARs, feel free. If you like these streams and you like watching me play, hey, if you guys want to write an AAR on the Slytherin channel, please credit me. I'd love it. Especially about the battles we fight, I would love to read that. I really, really like it when people write an AAR. It's just fun. It really is. Okay. I think maybe this is better just because we can see the whole screen, but I really like that up close and personal thing here. But let me know what you guys think. What do you prefer? Do you prefer up close and personal, or do you prefer like a little bit of distance? I think it really depends on the player. Okay, let's see. What else do we want to do? I think we've done everything we need to. Let's end turn. We've taken Guienne, boys. Nearly taken Guienne. It looks like their troops are scattering big time. The northwest is completely lost. And it's scary for the French because the northwest area is the closest to Claudine, which is where all of the French commanders are. There were even French media that were covering this battle. Look at this. Oh my goodness, guys. Look at that. Look at the enemies we took out, just totally wiping out the enemy here. Of course, you don't take a position without losses yourself. And we definitely lost some guys, but considering the amount of men we have, just look at the irregular squads we have just in that one sector, it really doesn't make much of a difference. It's sort of just, I hate to put it this way, but cannon fodder. That's really all they are. And as long as they can win us the battle, we're fine with that. Look at that. The French are going for some counterattacks. I like that. And yes, we have taken Guienne, guys. Glory to the Viet Minh. The Guienne is ours. Actually, a nice little French bombardment there. Don't forget the French do have air power. I want to see how much damage they did. I'm just curious. And it looks like an unlucky SMG squad got hit by a French bomb there. Too bad. It happens, though. All right. It's back to us, boys. And the PLA part stands for the People's Liberation Army. Okay, I want to see the news report. I love the news reports. Let's take a look. Okay, so we already read rumors of desertion at Dien Bien Phu. Henri under attack. Henri falls. Thai forces abandon Nguyen. So I didn't actually know this. This is new to me, but apparently the French were being supported by some Thai forces. And that makes sense because even when the Americans were in Vietnam, not only did they receive support from the Australians, they also received support from Thailand, and they also received support from South Korea. In fact, my father, who was a lieutenant in Vietnam, in the Toi Hoa area, he regularly mentioned to me the ferocity and the hatred that the South Vietnamese troops had for the Vietnamese. Not the Vietnamese in general, but the communist Vietnamese. They were some very serious fighters. And quite frankly, had those guys not been there, many of them protecting my father's unit, remember, my father was in engineering, he basically has told me that he probably would not have come out alive from the war itself. Let's take a look here. Okay, I'm going to leave that paratrooper unit there, although it's a pretty strong paratrooper unit. I mean, 9 attack and 12 movement. Yeah, these guys, they're essentially special forces for all intents and purposes. Gabrielle is under our control. Let's go. At this point, we just want to wipe out those paratroopers. We want to get to Huguette, Francois, and then we move to Claudine. It looks like the French forces are just falling apart. They really are. Look at that. They didn't even put up a fight. I think I want to go for... Let's keep on moving our groups. Now, not everybody can move. It really depends on whether or not they attack this turn. But Henri is in the hands of the Vietnamese. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and smash Huguette. It's another position, although maybe we'll wait a turn. Nah, that's not the VC way, or the Viet Minh way, excuse me. So here we go for Huguette. And we really are just doing some massive human wave attacks. I could be much more aggressive in my attacks, but I'm keeping things fairly neutral. Impossible to predict? Well, I think with this artillery, it's not going to be so impossible to predict. Okay, not bad. And look at this, guys. If you see that little red arrow, we're even getting support from all the way up here. And that just goes to show you the superiority the Viet Minh had in terms of their actual positioning on those hills. I mean, they had tremendous arty on those hills, and it just really, anytime you're dealing with arty like that, things do not go well. I don't want to lose our position at Nguyen, so I'm going to attack this area, and sure enough, we got very lucky, but now we've spotted the Isabelle Force Command HQ that the enemy has. They didn't think we'd get this far, but I'm definitely going to go for that attack. I mean, taking out an HQ, a command HQ, even if we lose some men in the process, at least we can show them we're willing to put up a fight. The chances here of victory are very poor, but I'm not trying to win that battle. I'm just trying to show the French that, hey, we're now close to your commanders. You know, you guys thought that we were a bunch of, guerrillas from the jungle, but we are now attacking your HQ, and you guys are in some serious trouble. We could probably go straight for Dominique, but we've already got forces attacking here, so I'm going to stay put and worry about that a little bit later. We could hit these guys as well, but once again, let's play this a little bit conservatively. Here we go. Let's end the turn. All right, Isabelle is hit. Dominique will be in our hands very soon, so will Elian. But I think even taking Dominique, Elian, and all the things surrounding Claudine, we will not be able to get a total victory unless we take Claudine. As you can see here, enemy aircraft did manage to interdict one of our units. And if we look over here, and I hope you guys can see that little reticule, this shows air power or air superiority. Their air superiority is 1, where ours is none. We have no air superiority at all. You know, our replacement for air superiority is really, really good artillery fire. And it works pretty much the same way, to be honest with you, especially when you're trying to drop supplies from a C-130 onto your men. So there we go. Look at that, man. Ooh, boy. My goodness. I feel bad for the French right now. So we're slowly cutting them down. Okay, guys. Hey, this is looking really good. We've got a lot. Now we're going for Huguette, which is the next area. But we might have to wait until the next turn because our guys are tired. We might have to wait for the French to go ahead and do their thing before we can do some major attacks. As you can see, I'm starting to move some of our artillery a bit closer. But let's not go crazy. So I want to go ahead and hit this guy kind of on the outskirts of where our men are. I don't need enemy paratroopers, getting behind our lines. It's just not necessary. Chance of success is excellent. I don't even need to use any support. We're going to wipe those guys out. What else? What else? One thing I think is kind of funny is we've got an enemy arty unit there. I don't think I've ever tried this, but let's try an arty unit versus an arty unit. So we're basically like just, maybe a kilometer away from each other. We're just firing away at one another. What about over here at Elian? This is the area we want to take. And again, what I'm trying to do here, and I think many of you guys have noticed, is I'm trying to surround these areas. I'm not just trying to stack, I'm trying to surround them. They can't escape a complete assault like this. So let's go for Elian. Boom, boom, boom. Chances are impossible to predict, but I feel pretty confident that we're going to win this one. Okay, guys, let's take a look here at the chat. A little distance on the map says yes. Well, they used to review games 2 months after I finished them. Appears on a War Gamer, says Warrior Donut. Let's hope it doesn't. No, Muso, that's heresy. Don't say that. Muso says that PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is still a war game. And Warrior Donut correctly responded with gag. It's shameful, Muso, shameful. We're going to have to bring in the Inquisitors about this one. The boy doesn't know what he's speaking about. He does have a point, though. I mean, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, there are guns, there are tactics involved. There is strategy involved, but not the kind of war games we play here. Well, there's war, says Muso. There is indeed. That's a good point. Let's take a look here, okay? We're going to take a quick 2-minute intermission, guys. I shall return. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Are we going to win this one, or are we going to lose? Let me know in the chat. Okay, we have returned, my friends. Let's see what you guys have said here. I like what Van Bishop said. No NATO counters, not a war game. I like that one, man. Well said. The true strategy gamer. Okay, so we're continuing. Looks like the enemy is definitely trying to hold on to Hujet, and it makes sense. Hujet, unlike the other areas, actually has a fairly decent defensive force. Of course, without support, it doesn't make a difference. And I think that's what the French realized at Dien Bien Phu. You know, technically they could have kept bringing in reinforcements by air. They could have also kept dropping supplies by air. As I mentioned initially during this battle, a lot of those supplies would fly off into enemy hands. Remember, this conflict took place in 1954. You know, even in these days with the cargo planes we have, a lot of the times if you're trying to drop support, that support's going to fall into enemy hands. That's just kind of the way war is. And, you know, imagine how happy the Viet Minh would be when they go, oh my goodness, look at this. We've got a bunch of stuff we could use. So I'm going to finally go after that paratroop regiment. I'm terrified of it because they actually have a stack of quite a lot of men. But it looks like our success at victory here is fair. So I'm going to go for it. Although I have to say, yeah, it's a little scary. So our success is excellent. We're basically just going to overrun them. And as you can see, both of these units are on aggressive attack. Or I should say both of these groups of units are on aggressive attack. Doesn't matter how many men get shot, they're going to keep attacking. You know, for them, the liberation of their country is much more important than survival. So I want to get to Isabelle, and one of the reasons is, much like the Dien Bien Phu village, Isabelle is a command post for the enemy. But before we do that, let's get rid of these stragglers. Get out of here. There we go. Come on. There we go. They are now either dead or our prisoners, and now we can pull our full focus to Isabelle for the next turn. Let's keep on looking. I mean, just look at that, guys. All that red. We've taken almost everything. I think the only areas that the French still hold is Ilion, Dominique, barely hold Dominique, Francois, and of course Claudine. The rest is under our control. And so we've definitely taken a lot from them. I'm just looking around to make sure we don't have any other reinforcements we've missed. But no, I think we're pretty much ready and set to go. Okay, here we go, guys. Keep those fingers crossed. All right, there's some interdictory fire from French aircraft. Ooh, they held on. You got to give it to the French paratroopers. Very brave men. But bravery does not save you from defeat. I hate to tell you that. And now we've got Dominique surrounded completely. So they've all retreated to Dominique and Elion. And you could just imagine the terror, and there really was terror in the French command, realizing that, wow, we are truly being overrun. Now, there's still areas here, for instance, in the south where the French put up an excellent fight. They lost no men whatsoever, and we actually lost quite a few men. And as you can see, they lost no one. So it's not like they were completely outgunned every single time. But like in situations like this, for instance, I mean, just look at that. You know, a lot of guys lost. We lost some guys, but technically, if you look at the difference in men on both sides, you know, we come out on top every time. Okay, it's the French army's turn. What do they have up their sleeves? Counterattack, man. Those counterattacks are frustrating, and it looks like they got one of their actual paratrooper units behind our artillery unit. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Okay, let's take a look here. Now, if you're looking at the theater here, and you can see our air transport capacity is 0, our sea transport capacity is 0, and our rail transport capacity is 0. In most cases, that would be terrible. But in this case, we're a guerrilla army. All we really need is our infantry, so you know, it doesn't make a difference. Let's see what the news says. Thai forces abandon Nguyen, and French General Pirot commits suicide at Dien Bien Phu. Oh my goodness. Now, this just goes to show you, I don't know everything about these battles. I had no idea that actually occurred. But if we just had the major French general just shoot himself, it's a good bet that they know that they're beaten, or at least getting very close to that. Of course, being a prisoner of the Viet Minh, I could imagine, would not be a very pretty situation. And at this point, we're going for Dominique. So let's go for it, and look at all of these units we can use. So I'm going for it, guys. I am just going to go ahead, massive charge to take Dominique. Cowards, they cannot attack. Very poor. It's still very poor. I mean, they're not going to give this area up without a fight. There's no doubt about that. And if they manage to stop us at Dominique, even though they're not going to win the battle, they could probably kill a lot of our men. Okay, Elion is another area we need to go ahead and take. So let's go for it. Impossible to predict. I'm not even going to worry about those guys to the west of Claudine. It's an artillery division, and it might be one of the few chances that the enemy gets to seriously hurt us. But we are going to hit Isabelle. I mean, this is where the enemy HQ is, and I think that's probably why that general shot himself, knowing that we were just about to overrun this area. Now, as you saw there, our chances of victory are very poor, but makes no difference to me. Like I said, we outnumber the enemy. We can lose a few men and still make it through. Okay, let's see what else we can do here. Again, I'm leaving a lot of our artillery still up there on the mountains. I see no reason to attack. But of course, the main goal is going to be Claudine there in the center. Let's get this HQ down a bit. Not so bad. And I will jump into the chat here, see what you guys are doing. Yeah, Piddly, I'm the same, man. You know, Piddles is talking about he's 26. You know, he's just a bit too slow for Twitch shooters. I'm 29, and I'm the same. And, you know, one thing, there's actually a study out there. I can't exactly give you guys a link right now, that the older you get, your hand-eye coordination, I think it's about 21, your hand-eye coordination starts to fail. You know, that's why you don't see any 40 or 50-year-old guys playing MOBAs, you know, in tournaments in Korea, places like that. Because, yeah, unfortunately, the older we get, you know, we're not as quick with our reflexes. That's just the way nature is, unfortunately. Let's take a look here. Muso is saying, I don't like how things are explained in Dark Souls, talk about story, although the level design is really top-notch. However, the combat system in the overall game is really poor, in my own opinion. It's, I get what you're saying. I think the combat system is sort of meant to be poor, and I don't think poor would be correct. I think it's very realistic. For instance, if you've got a great sword and you're trying to swing that thing around, you know, it takes so much strength. And Dark Souls really makes you think about every single move you make and reminds me of sort of those old school games. I'm talking like Super Nintendo status, where if you didn't make the exact correct move, you know, you're going to have to restart the level. Musa says, I'm 22 and I'm already too old for competitive MOBA. Feels bad, man. Nonsense. You watch plenty of MOBAs. I know you do. You're plenty good for MOBAs, man. You just gotta have that confidence. You can make it. You can make it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it really depends. It really does depend. But I think Muso we all have to root for Muso if he's going to join a MOBA team, because I refuse to watch MOBAs, but if he's playing, I'll watch for sure, man, because he's a smart kid. I'm sure that he could perform. But there's a lot of guys out there with some very serious skill. That's definitely true. So I think we've pretty much called our attacks. I'm really just trying to get to Claudine. Francois, I don't care about. Huguette, I don't really care about Huguette either, to be honest with you. You know, anything to get to the ultimate goal here. So we're going to attack Huguette, but really we want to get there to the center. And once again, I'm amazed that that French general shot himself. That is crazy, man. I like to call it French seppuku. There we go. Beautiful. And actually, we're going to assist now with the attack on Huguette. Boom and boom. Dominique. We already have an attack going on Dominique, but I think it wouldn't be such a bad idea to bring in some more men. Here we go, guys. Let's end the turn. Let's see what happens. Interdictory airstrike by the French. Oh, we took it, boys. We took it. Now they've got Francois, Dominique. Oh, we took Elian as well. Oh, my goodness. So now they've got Francois and Dominique. That's it. And Claudine. We are completely overwhelming their lines, just like in the real battle of Dien Bien Phu. Okay. Wow. Look at this, guys. Look at the enemy losses there. Now, you've got to keep in mind, you know, when we look at the enemy losses versus our attack losses, it looks like we've lost more men a lot of the times, but the fact is, look at the amount of men we have engaged. We've got 138 divisions engaged, 39 light rifle divisions. The French don't have even close to that many men. So anytime they lose even a single squad, even just an irregular squad, it's a huge, huge loss for them. And over here, we are actually in almost every single form of combat getting less casualties than the enemy. The only one issue being here in the south, where the French have put up a pretty good fight. We can see that they definitely managed to fight us off. And even here, that's a lot of men for us to lose. I don't like that one bit. They even took out some of our recoilless rifles, and they lost no men whatsoever. Okay, well, look at that. We've taken almost every single point. They've got Francois. That's it, Francois and Claudine. So now we want to keep on moving. We want to get to good old Claudine as quickly as possible. They have a pretty decent defense here. It's not enough. And actually, at this point, I'm moving our artillery off the hills. I'm bringing them closer to the battlefield. I'm also going to go ahead and I'm going to order ignore losses for our entire group. We are not taking prisoners at this point. This is just a pure human wave attack. And Elion. I really want to attack, but I'm a little nervous. Well, you got to make a decision. Impossible to predict. And let's see if we have any other units closer to Claudine. The part I'm actually concerned about is Isabelle. We have not managed to take Isabelle. We're going to go for another attack here, but yeah, it looks like they might be able to hold this area. Now, even if they hold Isabelle and we take the rest, we still win. But the main reason I want to attack that area is because they've got an HQ there. And anytime I see an enemy HQ, I get very excited. Not in that way. I don't get excited like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and end the turn. There we go. All right, some interdictory airstrikes there. Ooh, there was an interdictory airstrike that just hit the French position, if I'm not mistaken. So that might mean that there was some friendly fire there. Come on, take Francois. You can do it, boys. Yes, we've taken Francois. We have taken it, guys. Look at that. Some of these attacks were devastating for the enemy. Just absolutely devastating, and they're all going to be falling back to that final line of defense, which is Claudine. That's really all they can do, and that's exactly what the troops did. And that's if they were actually able to make it there. Now, keep in mind, to run from one position to another, you had to cross open ground. And these Viet Minh snipers, pretty good. As you can see, some of the French paratroopers are still carrying out counterattacks, and I'm actually really impressed by that. I've got to give it to them. They're very brave, because their counterattacks may be saving the lives of a lot of other French soldiers. And they're doing an okay job with those counterattacks. Oh boy, look at that. They're smashing our artillery, unfortunately. But I kind of knew that that artillery was more or less lost. All right, French army turn. Oh my, mon Dieu, what will happen? Let's see. Boy, oh boy, it's an interesting fight. And guys, how do you think the battle's going so far? If you guys have to put your bets down below, let us know if you think this is an overwhelming victory, or if the French still have a chance to hold off and win here. Still taking a look here. We're at minus 11 of 40. It's still a marginal defeat. It's not a major defeat if we quit now, but you know we still have areas to take, and that's primarily that area near Claudine. Okay, let's see. So, of course, General Pirot commits suicide. Huguet falls victim to communist attacks. Francois is overrun. Elian, another French disaster. Death at Dominique, French lose ground. I mean, this is exactly what happened during the real battle of Dien Bien Phu. It got to a point where the French realized there is nothing we can do. You know, they certainly couldn't bring in planes or anything like that to evacuate troops. Because they were completely surrounded by artillery. So even if, for instance, the French tried to evacuate the remaining troops, you know, that artillery would have been smashed by all of that Viet Minh, that aircraft would have been smashed by all that Viet Minh artillery that you see on the hills here. There just was no point. There was no escape. Interestingly enough, the French bombard caused no damage there. I think our guys are getting a little wiser to the French tactics, which, hey, that's really cool. Well done. All right, what to do now? And let me take a look here at the chat. Slowly grinding them down, says Lanzer. That's right, man. That's the goal, is just to slowly grind them down. see. Oh, cool. Van Bishop says Squad Leader was the very first board game I played, followed by Third Reich. I'm ashamed to admit I have not heard of either. I'd really like to get into board games. Looking pretty good to me, Agrippa. Poor Frenchman, says Piddles. Indeed, the poor French. And yeah, it was... I mean, this really was the turning point. I think the French pretty much at this point, even before Dien Bien Phu, pretty much knew that they couldn't win this war, but Dien Bien Phu was just the nail in the coffin. It really was. At that point, the Viet Minh showed that they could beat a modern army completely. Not just beat them, but overrun them and humiliate them, take them prisoner. They just, it looked terrible for the French. This was definitely, I guess you could call it the French, Ia Valley or the French Hamburger Hill. Although even with Hamburger Hill and the Ia Valley, the Americans managed to win. In this case, the French were completely defeated. Okay, let's take a look here. Oh, you guys got to suggest some more for me. I want to take a look at one of these games. Okay, let's see. So how do we get to Claudine? And more importantly, how do we get to Claudine without these annoying paratrooper units jumping behind and retaking places like Almerie? Well, I think what we're going to do, interdictory fire there, by the way, is just basically get our guys as close as possible. And look at that. They've got a lot of paratrooper units here. Parachute, airborne, arty, parachute. They've got definitely a lot of units here that they're going to try to use to stop us. There's no doubt about that. So I think our attacks are going to have to be concentrated. We're going to have to attack, not just in force, but all at once, essentially. So I'm actually going to hit the enemy artillery here. Might seem a little weird, but, just open up another tile for us. I really don't like having to attack that area because I know they've got some pretty decent parachute infantry. But you don't win anything by sitting around. So, we're going for it. Okay, we're going to let them retake Gabrielle if they want. After all, if they retake Gabrielle and Almerie and we can take Claudine, we're still coming out on top. So, why not? There we go. It's also why the Americans, when they were in the war, positioning, or I should say taking locations, taking landmarks, wasn't as important as body count, because they started to realize that the VC were quite good at getting behind the lines, and it was quite easy for the Americans sometimes to get behind VC lines and hold quote-unquote strategic positions, but it really didn't make as much of a difference, as it did in places in wars like World War II or World War I, where taking a certain position or landmark had a lot more importance. It just didn't work that way. It was about body count. When your enemy outnumbers you this bad, getting a better body count is pretty tough. Now I'm going to start moving some of these arty pieces a little bit closer. Even though they're in a fine position up here on the hill, they're still able to target the enemy. But it just feels right. Unfortunately, here at Isabelle, I thought we were going to be able to win. I'm not sure we are. I think they might just be able to hold on to Isabelle. Now we could come up from the south here, ignore Isabelle, and come up from Dien Bien Phu village. I'm going to do it. I'm going to send a single unit. Ooh, they've got tanks. Hey, I didn't expect that. Well, you know what? We are going to just ignore WM, and I'm going to go straight for that tank division. Impossible to predict, although our guys do have RPGs. They've also got some recoilless rifles, some AT rifles. They could deal with some French tanks. I think so. Let's see. All right, let's end the turn. First, I want to make sure... Ooh, look at that. We've got some more infantry. Add them to the fight, of course. And wish us luck, mon ami. Okay, 40% of our turn remains. They're still managing to put up some decent fights here. You know, they're not totally losing. Well, let's not lie. They are totally losing, but they're managing to sort of life-saving maneuvers to try and survive as long as possible. Actually, we might have to wait for the French turn here before we can commence any other attacks. I think that's what we have to do. Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to let our guys sort of, you know, give them some resting time. I'm also going to grab this HQ and see if I can't get it a bit closer. Same with this HQ. No, I think he's already moved. Okay, I think we'll end the turn. French army turn, guys. All right, yep, they definitely managed to push us back over here in the south. That's really been their best defensive location has been the south. But just look at that map. Just look at that. Look at the French flags opposed to the Vietnamese flags. It's getting pretty desperate for the enemy. Okay, let's see what the news says. So actually here the French army did a really good attack, sort of a counterattack. But they didn't manage to hold the field. Although 21% of our army, yeah, that's serious. That's definitely serious stuff. They took a nice big chunk out of the People's Liberation Army there. What to do? What to do? I hate having this guy behind us, but it's kind of inconsequential, to be honest. We just need to find a breakthrough. It's that simple. And I think this is going to be the breakthrough right here. Look at all those guys. Major attack there. We can go ahead and smash their arty here if we have any attack points. I think, again, we have to wait. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. Look at that. The end is nigh, my friends. The end is nigh. I'm bringing all that already in. I don't care if I'm only getting 50% from it. I want to blow these guys to dust. Get that HQ a bit closer, too. So if you guys see that reticule over the French position, that's from the arty all the way over here. I mean, that's the distance we can shoot thanks to our elevation. It's just amazing. When you're able to get arty on elevations like that, man, whew, it's a big problem for the enemy. Now, I'm going to sacrifice this poor little regiment. In fact, there's several regiments here, but I want to move into this area and see what the French have. All right, so they've got some paratroopers. All right, we'll move everybody in. And we're actually going to go ahead and order them to ignore losses. I don't think we're going to win this southern battle here, but I want to test the enemy defenses. And this is a very common tactic, by the way, by the Vietnamese, the Viet Minh and the Viet Cong, which is to test the enemy defenses by basically just throwing a massive amount of men at them. You're going to lose a lot of men, but you're going to be able to determine, you know, what the enemy's willing to do to defend their area. Okay, I think we can end the turn there. I want to take a look here at the chat first. People are talking about combat mission. Yeah, I love the combat mission games. Although I must say, and you know, I don't want to badmouth a company or anything like that, but you know, I've had several different computers, several different laptops, several different PCs, and I'm sure many of you guys are aware that the CM team has basically a system where if you use the code 3 times, you have to ask them for a new code if you're switching computers. And unfortunately, for some of the games, they never got back to me. So I essentially had to purchase the game again. And to me, that's not the greatest in terms of customer service. Although from what I understand, it's a small team, so that happens. Okay, let's see what happens, guys. We're getting closer to Claudine. This is our chance for the breakthrough. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Wow. So here, for instance, our weak attack failed miserably. And this is why you got to be a little more aggressive sometimes. We hurt nobody on the French side, and they totally demolished that Viet Minh attack. It's not like the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, was a complete... I mean, it was a total victory. By all intents and purposes, by the Viet Minh, but they lost a lot of men. It was not just as easy as 1, 2, 3. This required a lot of manpower. And not only that, but the Vietnamese that were planning the attack on Dien Bien Phu, this took them months of planning. They had been building artillery positions all around the French base at Dien Bien Phu for months. And when you keep in mind that you're trying to pull an artillery piece, number one, up a mountain, number two, up a jungly mountain, a mountain with jungles on it, that is not easy. I'm not sure how many of you guys have seen the Werner Herzog film Fitzcarraldo, where they're trying to take a riverboat and bring it over a mountain, which, by the way, they actually did for the production of that film. This reminds me of that. I mean, what the Viet Minh were able to do was pretty amazing. It really was. So here we go, another massive assault, just massive. We're just smashing these guys with everything we have. All right, not bad, not bad. But they're still holding the main area. And as you can see, we've got some enemy HQs here, some engineer teams. I mean, all they've got left are bridging and engineer teams. It's not good. That is not good at all. All right. %of our turn remains. Again, in many cases, the French are doing okay, but for instance here, a complete destruction for the French. Just a complete destruction. So even though they're able to stop us with some really good casualties in many areas, we are still barreling right through their defenses. Although I'm amazed that these guys are still holding on. We're going to have to keep going for it, guys. Some more massive attacks. Let's go for it. Come on. Boom, boom. Eventually, they're going to crumble. They cannot hold off this long. Okay. If you see that little red arrow on the edge of the square, you can see that this guy is engaged in that attack. What to do, what to do. We're basically going to have to wait for the French turn before we can actually carry out any major attacks. look at this one. Look at that. And as you can see, our guys are breaking off the attack and then re-entering the attack. So the French get to breathe a little sigh of relief. They're like, oh, wait, maybe they're not going to break through. And then all of a sudden, we come right back and smash them. I'm loving it. French army turn, guys. Turn 10. Ooh, that was an excellent attack with their tanks. Actually, with that paratrooper regiment, that 2028, they managed to wipe out an entire division. So it was definitely a mistake on my part to leave some of those units behind our lines, because now they're chopping them up, and now the French have a little bit of a chance to hold on to that main area in Claudite. That was a mistake. Something I'll learn from in the future. If the enemy's behind you, you've always got to take them out. You can't just rush straight for the target every single time. All right, let's see. No more news reports coming in. That's either very good or very bad. I'm going to go ahead and smash through. Oh, nice. Look at that. So some of these areas are very badly defended. Oh, look at that. Even better. I mean, we're just slowly, it's like a vice grip. We're slowly closing in on these areas. Go ahead and hit this area right here. All units limited attack. Let's do ignore losses. So every single unit that can attack that position can do that. You don't always have to go into plan attack. As you can see here, if I click this unit or this unit, they're already basically scheduled to attack that position. And look at that. Took out another group. And we can now assist with that attack as well. Bring in some support. Why not? Ooh, nice interdictory fire there. They actually stopped our unit from moving, man. Ooh, the French Air Force may have just saved the French some serious humiliation there. Come on, boys. A lot of interdictory fire. At this point, we're out in the open, so it's a lot easier for the enemy to spot us. Nah. Little confused as to what to do. We're definitely close to Claudette, but as long as we are not taking Claudette, that makes no difference. I'm going to go ahead and do a single group attack, ignore losses. Let's see how this plays out. French army turn, guys, and as you can see, the only thing they still have is Claudine. All right, they've retaken some points. They're even attacking us with HQ units. Oh boy. Not that bad. I've got to give it to him. Not that bad. Now, there's still, I believe, 7 turns left. And, of course, we are going to be getting some reinforcements throughout the entire gameplay, but here we go. Huge Viet Minh losses affects morale. French volunteer for suicide mission to aid comrades. Unbelievable. So as you can see here, the French are so, they're so aware of how close death is, that there's actually volunteer forces willing to just attack, just like we're attacking, with massive losses to their own side in an attempt to save the rest of their friends here. It's very brave. Do I think it's going to win them the battle? Probably not. But we've got to do everything in our power to make sure that doesn't occur. So we're still going to continue. Already our chances of success are excellent here. I'm still going to send in some more units. Boom. Over here at Almerie, I think we can keep things pretty straightforward. I'm going to try to ignore that French paratroop regiment because they're doing really well. So I'm taking my men here, and I'm going straight for the French HQ. Ooh, we might have to wait a bit. Yeah, that's definitely a potential waiting game. You know what, guys? I have to give it to them. They're doing pretty well. I thought we were going to be able to finish this battle before the end of this stream, and I still think that this is ultimately going to be a Viet Minh victory. Almost certainly. It's just a matter of time, really. But they put up a really good fight. We took all of the major fire points, all of the fire bases around Claudette. That's all they have left. But they're doing a really good job at holding it. And I think our biggest mistake, as mentioned before, is the fact that we ignored these paratrooper units behind our lines. I figured we could probably just overrun this area pretty quickly. No big deal. But that's not always the case. Okay, let's send in the rest. Come on. Over here, we can also plan an attack. We've got quite a few men. And our chances of success here are also excellent. Take a look here at the chat. We are in Vietnam, Mark, indeed. And yes, it is still called Vietnam nowadays. It's actually called the People's Republic of Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, Vietnam is one of the few communist governments still remaining in the world. But from what I've heard, had a lot of friends visit Vietnam. I'm trying to get my dad to go back because, obviously he was involved in the war there. And it's, very inexpensive. Things are quite cheap. And if you've got, a few €100 or a few $100, you're going to have a very good time in Vietnam. Very great food, delicious food, very friendly people. As long as you're not attacking their country, you're going to be treated very, very, very well. I'm not a travel agent, so don't take my word for it, but something to consider. Let's put it that way. I'm going to move my arty forward. At this point, we're just trying to move all of our arty forward. I think that's all we can do for now. Let's see what happens. A lot of enemy aircraft strikes there. Oh yeah, as you can see, we've still got it. We've still got it. Like I said, it's a matter of time. They just basically lost every single unit there, except for... No, they lost every single unit there. We completely overran that area. No chance of them getting it back. Now, can we just jump right into this area? I'm going to single unit move. No, they've got some tanks defending their main areas. That being said, guys, we are now coming to the end of the stream. And don't forget that tomorrow we're going to be playing Check Your Six. I can't wait to jump into it. I'm going to save this game right now because I want to be able to come back to this in a later date. And I want to see if we can win this one. So we're going to save this one as Dien Bien Phu. I still want your opinion. You guys think that we can still win this one? Or do you think the French have put up a decent enough fight to keep us out of Claudette? I think we still got it. I think we made a few mistakes that probably could have ended this battle a lot sooner in our victory. We've definitely lost a lot more forces than we should have, but you know, we are surrounding these guys almost completely. There's no way for them to get out of this vice grip. They do have those tanks, though. That's my biggest concern right there. Oh, hold on. There we go. The tank units they have. That's my biggest concern. But if we break through these paratrooper units right here and the reinforcing troops, right now here they're called reinforcing troops, but the actual NATO counter suggests that these are in fact paratrooper units. We go right to Claudette and we win. And of course, Dien Bien Phu is right there. We've got 3 victory points there, 3 victory points there, 3 victory points there, 9 total. We're still pretty much winning this battle. Anyway, guys, I do hope that you guys enjoyed watching. I always love streaming for you guys. It's always so much fun. And thank you guys for watching. Very cool, Koo. That's awesome. Hey, they always say that I've got a future in radio, so you never know, right? We'll have to wait and see. And Krupdrug says, fun for Western tourists, the locals not so much. Ironic. Yeah, that's I'm not sure, but you could be very right. Van says, good stream, Agrippa, thanks. Thank you, my friend. Older Wargamer, thanks. Gary's, thanks. Thank you all, guys. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm going to drop my channel down below, my YouTube channel. If you want to check out my Twitch channel, just click my name once I drop the link, and you can also add me on Twitch. I'm going to, first of all, end the stream before I show you guys that, but thank you so much for stopping by. This was a fun one, guys, and this is definitely a battle that I have quite a lot of knowledge on. It fascinates me, everything that happened. I mean, it really is a world superpower being beaten by a guerrilla force, and that doesn't happen all too often, and when it does, I mean, everybody becomes amazed. It's just incredible. So don't forget, guys, tomorrow we're going to be doing Check Your 6. I expect all of you to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. A very interesting game, and for those of you that have played the Check Your 6 board game, it's going to be even cooler. I can't wait to see what you guys think about it. Anyway, guys, stick around. I'll drop my channel down below. Muso here is going to drop the Matrix and Slytherin channels down below for you guys to subscribe to, and I'd love to see you guys make an appearance there. Once again, thank you so much, my friends, for stopping by, and victory to the Viet Minh.